Yo, what's up? So today I want to speak about one, two, three, four, five, six things very briefly. I enjoy making vlogs, and I like keeping my vlogs very flexible, very random. Steve Bantu Bigo's got a book called "I Write What I Like," and I remember because I was a visual artist. Maybe I still am, but I used to paint and draw a lot, and people used to ask me like, "What are my main themes?" And I used to tell them, "I want to paint and draw whatever I feel like." This thing of having one theme, like I only do human bodies or I only do mountains, I don't like that. I like the idea of being inspired to do anything that I want. And the same thing has happened even when I've tried to make music. The mixtapes that I have, obviously, I have a huge love for hip hop, but I like gospel music, I like pop, I like R&B. And in making music, I try to make music that appeals to whatever has inspired me without being stuck to a genre. And it's obviously thanks to guys like Drake and Kanye West who have been able to break the mold on this whole concept of sticking to one genre, so to speak. So I'm going to speak about like one, two, three, four, five, six random things. I hope you'll get some education from stuff that I have to tell you. I hope it will inspire you, maybe some of it in some way. And yeah, let's engage. I've got a WhatsApp group called Penrose Brain where I post all day, every day, the thoughts on my mind. I post pictures that I find that I think are interesting. I post funny memes and anything that's on my mind and anything that I think is inspiring. And then obviously some education as well, some politics, some money, some thoughts about my own religion, penalism, some thoughts about some of my dreams and what I'm up to as well in my life. First thing I want to speak about is companies or businesses, so to speak, because a company has to be registered. A lot of people don't understand how money works. I speak about this all the time. A lot of people don't understand that money is a game, like soccer, like rugby. It's just a sport. Unfortunately, money affects our everyday lived reality because people came and created these formal money systems and they enforced them on all these countries around the world to a point where today, if you don't have money, it's difficult to have a certain quality of life. But most people don't understand how the money game works. Most people don't understand how money flows. A couple of years ago, I had an accountant that did my books for my loans business. And she was like, "Oh my gosh, you make so much money." And I was like, "What?" And she told me what she was seeing in my bank statements. And I was like, "Nah, man, I think that's extremely, extremely misleading." For any of you that understand loans, for example, if I have 100,000 Rand and I loan it out in January and then I get my interest, I take the same 100,000 Rand, I loan it out again in February and in March and in April, the whole year. So the same 100,000 gets recycled 12 times. So someone who looks at this money coming back sees that I've made 1.2 million at the very least. And that's very misleading because it's the same 100,000. So one of the things I posted in my blog, my WhatsApp group this morning was the concept that anytime you see bank statements of an entrepreneur, of a company that say that this person made 100,000 Rand in 1 month, please assume that 10% of that is profit. That means from 100,000 Rand, the person is probably only keeping 10,000 Rand. My business is making 100,000 a month. Don't think that I'm making 100,000. Assume that I'm making 10,000 Rand because the bulk of revenue in a business goes to cost of sales. For example, if you're in retail and you're selling clothing or groceries or motor spares, whatever the case may be, there's cost of sales. Then there's also cost of operations. So I could be running a services business, like I'm a lawyer, I'm an accountant, or I'm a therapist, whatever the case may be. I have to pay for business rent. I have to pay for electricity. I have to pay for any materials that I use. I have to pay for any equipment that I use and maybe for any marketing, so to speak. So if you see that I made 100,000 as a business person in a month, assume that I only keep 10,000 Rand or 10% of that. I think that will help you a lot in understanding a lot of people that claim to be making a lot of money. And especially when you bump into bank statements of guys making 300,000, 400,000 a month in sales, just assume it's 10%. 300,000 means the person's probably taking home 30,000. 400,000 means the person's probably taking home 40,000 Rand. I think this is very important financial education for you guys. Second thing I want to say is that success lies in your daily habits. There's a lot of memes especially on Instagram, saying this thing, and a lot of people don't quite understand it. You want to be something in 10 years, and you're like, I want to be rich, or I want to live in Canada, or I want to be Beyonce. I like Beyonce. Beyonce is fucking one of the greatest performers and one of the best workaholics and examples to use in life. I want to be Beyonce in 5 years. You can't dream about that every day for 5 years and assume magically you'll become Beyonce. The success of becoming Beyonce lies in what are you doing today to become Beyonce in 5 years? What are you doing today to move to Canada in 10 years? What are you doing today to become a multimillionaire in 5, 10, 20 years' time? Look at it, what you're doing every day. And a lot of people, when you actually break down their daily habits, you realize that their habits are designed for failure and for loss. You wake up maybe at 9 o'clock, you're on social media for 2 hours, you're watching YouTube, you're eating for 3 hours, you're chilling with friends, you're taking walks. What else do people get up to? You're drinking, you're smoking, you're having sex. Your day's done. What have you achieved today? Nothing. But magically in 5 years' time, you need to become Beyonce. You need to understand that every single day, if you want to be Beyonce, you need to be writing songs. You need to be listening to other songs as inspiration for you to write your songs. You need to be recording. You need to be going to the studio, laying down vocals. You need to be studying choreography. Study what Chris Brown and Beyonce and Ciara and every other dancer is doing, and then see if you can start rehearsing. Go to a dance studio, speak to someone who's a choreographer and see if they can help you learn and understand how to dance and how to get better, and work on it every single day. Know that for 2 hours I'm going to be in the dance studio. For 2 hours I'm going to be in the recording studio. For maybe 2 hours I'm going to be listening to other music. I'm going to be watching other dancers and working on that. And then a big part of you becoming Beyonce is finding a mentor. Either someone who's already in the industry and is doing what you want to do, or find someone in the industry who has worked with other people, who can advise you and say, look, we need a marketing team. We need someone for your makeup. We need someone for your styling. We need to see if we can get you on radio interviews, see if we can get you on TV, see if we can get you signed to a record label, whatever the case may be. But you need to be working on building a team so that tomorrow you will become Beyonce. Beyonce obviously started off very young and she was helped very much by her dad and her mom. And then obviously grew in her career from that perspective. If you look at Venus and Serena Williams, if you look at the Jacksons, if you look at Tiger Woods, a lot of these guys were helped by their parents from a very young age. But their daily was geared towards their success. A lot of us, for about 12 years, we're at school. What are our daily habits? It's going to class. It's attending maths, English, geography, biology. By the time you get to varsity, you're attending lectures. By the time you're working, all you do is work. At no point in your day are you building towards what you want to be successful with in the future. You're not taking out 1 hour, 2 hours, 4 hours and saying every day, I want to be a sports star. So as much as I'm going to class, after class, I need to hit the gym. After class, I need to watch some of my idols. After class, I need to go to practice. After class, I need to go and find a role model, a coach who's going to build me into what I want to be. You want to move to Canada? What are you doing today? Have you researched what it's going to take to get a visa into Canada? Have you found out how much a ticket is? Have you ever visited Canada just so that you can see what type of place it is and if it suits you? Have you spoken to people from Canada? Do you have Canadian friends on your Facebook, on your Twitter that you can speak to? Hey, how's the weather in Toronto? How are things going there? What's happening in the politics? So that I can see in your daily habits that this guy is actually really, really trying to move. That's very, very important. So understand that future success lies in your present daily habits. You want to be rich, you want to be a multimillionaire, like who? Aliko Dangote. Study him in depth. Find out what Aliko does. And Aliko has said that he runs in the morning. He runs, he attends meetings, he's always reading up on the news, he's constantly having meetings with politicians and other business people. He's going to check up on his cement factories. So before you get there, wake up early in the morning, exercise, read up on business articles, and then go out there. It doesn't have to be your business, but you can visit cement factories in South Africa. You can visit sugar plants in South Africa. You can go and spend time at other people's businesses, beginning to understand. Speak to business people and find out, so what are you doing? No, today I'm meeting with my accountant. No, today we're meeting with lawyers. No, today I have to go and sit with these guys and do it and realize this is what these guys do every single day. And if I want to be like them, I need to copy their daily habits and build towards that. Chamath Palihapitiya, who used to be the exec or one of the execs at Facebook, speaks very much about copying the greatest people up out there. Just copy what they do. Don't lose your mind. You've got a lady like Ava Max, those of you who know Ava Max, who's a replica of Lady Gaga. Ava Max literally has taken the formula of Lady Gaga and she's built a great career off that. Look at someone like Chris Brown, someone like Usher, someone like Neo, and a whole host of other artists who just copied Michael Jackson. Singing, dancing, making pop, and then trying to get out there and get on stage and perform and give people a great show. So that's very, very important. Copy and paste the habits, the daily habits of the people that you aspire to be like, and you will become successful in future. Third thing I want to speak about is there's a show on Mzansi Magic called Abandoned, with Upumeza as the presenter. Yesterday's show was about a young man who's looking for his mom. So as the story goes, his mom was a huge drunkard, and she used to take her child, the boy when he was very little, take the child to the shebeen to go drink. And the story was being narrated by the shebeen owner. The shebeen owner says this lady used to get drunk all the time. I'd end up having to feed her baby for her because she was just focused on booze. At some point, I gave this lady a loan. I think she said it was 250 Rand. Back in 1996. 250 Rand. Chased up for this lady. When are you paying me back? When are you paying me back? At some point, the lady gave her some lame story of, oh, I need to go and fetch this money from somewhere. Please, can you just watch my boy? I'll be back. She disappeared. Mom disappeared, left this lady with a 3-year-old boy. When this lady tried to contact family members of this mom, one of the family members she found was like, ooh, Shem, please try and raise that boy because she's done the same with a girl. I'm raising one of her daughters that she came and she dumped on me as well. Why am I raising this? I'm raising this because a lot of times we focus on absent fathers. A lot of times we focus on men who are useless parents. We don't speak much about useless mothers, you know. Not that it's meant to be a competition. To be honest, we need to be speaking about all bad absent parents and trying to see how we can fix their situation. It's just that in a society that is so warped, in a society that is so much propaganda fueled, it's so important to balance the scales. If you could go randomly now to a lot of townships around South Africa and visit older people, grandmothers and grandfathers, and pick out how many of them are raising their grandkids because the mothers came and dumped the kids there and left. Those same mothers out there are being worshipped and praised and celebrated as strong single mothers who are trying their best for their kids. But the men who are not there are being called a lot of names. A lot of kids are being raised by their grandparents, not by choice. We can argue whether that's a good or a bad thing. There's an argument that says that children should actually be raised by old people because old people have got the patience and the wisdom to impart on the young, and their children, the parents, have the energy to go and work. Imagine living in a kraal where the old people sit every day and they offer apprenticeship to your children while you go out and work in the field. So you can come back and bring home the milk and the meat and the crops, whatever the case may be. So there's an argument for that. However, my point is a lot of mothers are useless mothers. A lot of mothers are unemployed, but no one chastises them. The mothers keep the SASSA cards so they get to go and collect the grants, but they're unemployed. Meanwhile, the unemployed father, who's in the exact same boat as the mother, he gets slashed, and we need to stop that. Secondly, a lot of us don't understand that many people are not meant to be parents. It's not great to fall pregnant and go dump your child at an orphanage. It's not great. But a lot of people are not meant to be parents. And for people like myself, I used to be against abortion. But I read a book called Freakonomics, and it put it into perspective, the concept of raising kids that you did not want. I think it's very important that people who have fallen pregnant by accident, whatever you want to call it, should have the option to get rid of the child because they don't want it, they're not ready, they don't have the money, whatever the case may be. Secondly, for people that already have the children, try and get support. If your parents can raise the child, that's great. If your siblings can raise the child, that's great. Try and use them. Because the last thing we want in this world we live in is raising broken children, where the mother's always drunk, where the father's always high, where the parents are always beating up the children, specifically because the parents never really wanted them, weren't ready, don't have the money, etc. Three more topics. I'm going to try and go through them very quickly. The Bible is one of the greatest insurance policies of the rich. Wealthy people, historically, have oppressed, have stolen from, have exploited the poor. And I don't know what it was like back in the day where there was no recourse and no protection for them. But when they found the Bible, when they found religious scripture, they found a way to psychologically get the people that they have beaten, bashed, to forgive. The Bible speaks very much about forgiveness. And not only to forgive, but to live well. So I will be oppressed as a poor black South African who has been a victim of apartheid and colonialism. My land, my parents' land was taken. We have been exploited. We have been ripped apart as families. Capitalism has us working in the mines and in the factories and in the farms so that we can pay a hut tax of sorts. Today, I'm a victim, but the Bible says forgive, like Jesus forgave. So I forgive these people that oppressed me, that oppressed my family and my ancestors. And not only that, but there is a big man in the sky that is constantly watching my behavior. I mustn't commit crimes. I mustn't steal. I mustn't kill. I mustn't rape. The same way the oppressors and the colonizers did. To become wealthy today, I mustn't do that because there's this God up there who's watching my every move. And if I do things bad, I'll go to hell. But if I behave, I'll go to heaven. Who is this God and who taught us about him? The exact same oppressors, the exact same colonizers. It's the funniest thing, but that's the world we live in, and a lot of people have bought into this shit. But I'll stop there. Sports is a gamble. A lot of young kids dream very much of becoming sports stars. But when you look at the numbers, unfortunately, pro bowlers, soccer, rugby, cricket for the men, maybe you can add netball-ish for the women, athletics as well. 1 in 10,000 kids who play sports end up becoming professional, which means the other 99,999 don't become professional bowlers. And mind you, a professional sports career lasts 5 years. If you're lucky, it goes all the way up to 10, earning 15 to 20 to 30,000 per month. Obviously, if you're great and you have good endorsements, you can go all the way up to 100,000 Rand, maybe even 200,000 Rand a month. But that's a minute number. 10 to 20, 30, if we were to push it, maybe 50 sports stars in South Africa earn above 100,000 Rand a month. The rest earn below that and their careers last for so long. Why am I raising this? I'm raising this because sports is great. We all need to play sports. We all need to be healthy. It's good to release tension, stress. You know, outside of sex, sports allows you to be happy, to be healthy. You know, unfortunately, we're not going to make money from sports. And we need to teach kids the reality that as much as you want to be a Springbok, as much as you want to play for Ibafana Bafana or the Proteas, chances are you're not going to make it. So use sports for health, use sports to make friends, use sports to learn some of the softer social skills like leadership, communication, dealing with failure and loss. And if you're talented, use sports to get bursaries, to get into top schools. Use sports to get into varsity so that you can get a free tertiary education. Anything beyond that is a bonus, but at least use sports as a vehicle for that. I think that's very important. My last point is that I was listening to a gentleman called Thomas Sowell in America. He's old now, he's in his 90s. Black man, an alternative thinker. He's been attacked, called an Uncle Tom, called a coon, whatever the case may be. But it's been refreshing listening to some of his interviews. And he was trying to dismantle slavery as a concept and how we've been misled and miseducated about slavery. Everyone, when they say slavery, you think of Africans that were taken to America who worked on the plantations. But slavery exists all across the world, and it's existed all across the world. And it's not only been black slaves, they've been white slaves, they've been Asian slaves. To this day, to this day. He breaks down slavery, and maybe at some point I'll speak about slavery in depth. What I wanted to highlight is I went after listening to his speech or after listening to his interview. I went and I researched. And according to some stats, there are still 36 million slaves in the world today in 2021. 36 million slaves. Some of the countries with the highest numbers of slaves: China, India, Pakistan, Nigeria, places like the Democratic Republic of Congo, places like Russia, North Korea, Indonesia. You wouldn't guess it. I think in India alone, there's about 8 million slaves. I think in China alone, there's about 4 million slaves. Fascinating. Absolutely fascinating. 36 million slaves in the world today. And you've got 94 countries in the world today where slavery is still legal. By legal, I mean it has not been criminalized. If you're caught with a slave, you do not go to jail. Slavery is something that I want to discuss in depth at some point. I watched a movie called The White Tiger. You can check it on Netflix. Amazing movie. Talks about being raised to be a servant, which is what we do to some of our kids who we give chores to. It's what we do when we're grooming people to become employees in our companies, whether we underpay them or overpay them. We teach them servitude. What happens when that servitude is forced? What happens if that servitude, I'm not going to hit you. I'm not going to jail you. I'm not going to strangle you. But if you don't serve me, you won't earn money. If you don't earn money, you don't have a place to stay, you won't get food, you won't get clothing, etc., etc. Which is a form of slavery in itself, modern slavery, where people feel like today, if I don't have a job, if I'm not earning money, I don't have a choice. So they end up going to beg other people. Every day I see these men on street corners begging for jobs. Please use me. Please enslave me for a few hours today and then give me a bit of money so I can buy something to eat. 36 million slaves in the world today. Fascinating. Absolutely fascinating. It's Penuel the Black Pen. Hope you guys enjoyed my vlog, and I'm going to try to vlog a bit more as regularly as I can. Hope you guys are great, and I hope you guys have learned something from my voice, from my video today. Cheers.